Welcome to the Adirondack Atheists podcast number 7. My name is Justin. I'm going to discuss the Atheist Experience. It's only available on TV in Austin, but it is available streaming online. Also YouTube as well, past episodes, and it's available on Ustream, where you can watch it live or you can watch it later on as well. I want to talk about episode 888, a certain part where they speak to a caller. I'm going to get right into it anyways. Jared in Georgia. It's at about 31 minutes and 40 seconds. If anybody else wanted to check it out, let's do it themselves.
I'm doing good. How are you, Matt?
I'm all right.
I just want to say, first of all, I've been watching the show for a few years, and you actually basically helped open my eyes, and I became an atheist a few years ago. And
Hooray!
I want to say thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you. I'd always been kind of logical, thinking, and I'd always had doubts, finding the flaws between logic and religion. And then after listening to you, I realized I wasn't alone, and definitely helped me open my eyes. I was supposed to say thank you.
You're very welcome. Although you did all the work, I just talk. You have to be willing to listen and think. So.
Yes, well, absolutely. The main reason why I called is I've been studying philosophy for the last few months, especially morality aspects. Mm-hmm. And I hear you talk about, I've seen some of the debates you do about morality and secular morality and everything else. And my question is, what kind of philosophical, standpoint do you take in evaluating if something is moral or not? Do you take like a universal approach, the ontological arguments, or do you do like consequentialism, or how do you determine where you get your morality from?
I fall into like some category of consequentialism, but not in a simple sense. So for me, and I give you the super quick breakdown, is that when I talk about morality, I'm talking about well-being in much the same way that Sam Harris talked about it in The Moral Landscape. It doesn't make sense to me to try to talk about it under any other terms. And so we live in a universe where there are certain rules that dictate the consequences of our actions, and there are also these rules that determine what is good for us and what isn't. And so there's this process of discovery, I think, where we go about finding out what's in our best interest and what isn't, and that these are truths that we're discovering. Now, I'm not advocating for moral relativism, which is the idea that a moral evaluation is merely based on what a particular society says. Oh, we say this is moral, so it's moral. I reject that. But I am talking about situational morality, that each situation needs to be judged on its own merits. And so when you talk about absolutes or objective moral truths, I'm still talking about within the context of a situation. If I'm in a situation, there's a finite set of actions I can take, and some of them are better than others and some of them worse, which means there must be some set of one or more actions that represent the moral best for that.
I just want to mention I'm not going to talk about morality at all right now. I may talk about it a little later in the future or something, but right now I'm not really interested in discussing it too much. So I may just swipe through here and find a better example
In any of this, and that kind of flies in the face of this situational evaluation. But there are situations that are seemingly universal. For example, I would say that I can't think of a single situation that is likely, probably, or maybe even possibly going to occur where it would put me in a position where I would agree that it is morally correct to own another being as property. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't say...
I gotta mention something right now. I'm not sure on Matt's stance of exactly what he means by being. The way he used it, I imagine he means any living thing. It's hard to really say. If he's only referring to humans, he may be accurate in his statement. If he's not referring to humans, I doubt he's accurate in his statement. I don't know if he owns pets himself or if he is against pet ownership, but I believe that's clearly slavery. But I think we can point out other ways where there's slavery clearly in the human world as well. it depends how you define the ownership and everything like that. So he may easily, win his argument that way. So it's going to come down to how you define a term and a word. So I don't think he's entirely accurate in that statement, but I can't say for sure, not knowing his full definitions of that. But I do highly doubt. I knew that he doesn't condone some form of slavery through a humanist, speciesist type viewpoint, applying humans are greater, and therefore we have a right to use other species to the point of ownership and complete control. And at the same time, he will, obviously get further into argument about, in a sense, the ownership of the people in the land and stuff like that. So I'll wait to get into that a little more.
Absolutely, but that doesn't matter because we don't have absolute certainty about anything.
Absolutely.
But when people try to come up with proposed scenarios where that might be moral, every time they've come up with some kind of cheat where they're, it's like, oh, what about voluntary slavery? Well, that's like married bachelor as far as I'm concerned.
I would almost expect that type of argument from someone who's trying to condone, pet slavery or, especially pet slavery, but other forms of animal slavery, and even, of course, vegetative slavery to an extent. I would say to a extremely large extent, especially once we start chemically inducing and changing the species.
No such thing as voluntary slavery. Well, what about this particular situation? Somebody's got a gun to your head and says, you have to own this other person as property or I'm going to shoot you both dead. Well, what actually happens there is not slavery. It's two people who don't want to die agreeing to pretend to go along with this proposition.
I think the main point there is it's certainly not an agreement, really. I mean, you have definitely one person giving in to another person because of the fear of death. I would rule that definitely is and could be slavery, and that's really how slavery is done. So it definitely is still slavery. He messed that up a little bit, saying voluntary slavery. If you think about that, it's certainly not voluntary if you have a gun to someone's head. If you say give me money, and they decide to give you money to avoid getting shot, that kind of defeats the aspect of the voluntary compliance. It's not voluntary action anymore. You're under threat and coercion. You're basically given to almost any demand you could imagine. The word voluntary isn't really used that way. That would be more accurate to say the voluntary is incorrect, but the slavery aspect I think is still correct, because that's how slavery ownership is done, through the threat and the fear of usually death, if not, taking over your body to a hardcore level. I mean, like the law says, basically, we'll control your life to X amount, and if you step over this point, we'll control it 100%, so we'll give you the chance to follow our rules or have your life controlled 100%. Follow them with, 40% controlled and accept that. And so we accept that because it's more comfortable than having 100% controlled or having to fear for our lives or fight for our life. So it's as simple as that, that is slavery in its own, and I think he kind of explains that. But for some reason says it's not slavery. I understand what he's saying. You can't really have voluntary slavery. I definitely agree. It's not slavery if it's voluntary, and it's not voluntary if it's forced. So that's why it's not voluntary. You can't have voluntary slavery.
I can't say that it's impossible that there's a situation where it might be moral. I can't think of any. Nobody's been able to offer me any. And there comes a point where it's unreasonable to start thinking, well, if there was on this Thursday a pink unicorn happened to arrive with the magical powers of curing world hunger, if you would actually enslave these 5 people over here for the rest of their lives, okay, now we're out of reality.
Yeah. Well, the other question I was going to ask is, because you used the example also as well, that the right for you to swing your arm, with a fist attached to it, ends at the end of another man's nose. And that's one of the reasons why I was calling to ask, like, for example, would you not...
And one thing to point out quick, I'm not here to defend the caller and his beliefs. I actually, think quite differently than the caller does. I would say both Tracy and Matt are statists. They're part of the statist religion, essentially. While he as well, Jared, the caller, is too. just a different form, different sect, different denomination. He's more of the Volunteerist, Anarco Capitalist, Statist group, while Matt and Tracy are more of the traditional, two different sides of the same bird, kind of, more mainstream, more follow the line, follow the leader kind of role. So, but both of those stances, I believe, are statist views, and I think they're both wrong in a sense. And I mean, I just don't agree with them as good ways to do anything. I don't think statism is a good form of system, society, or control. I mean, maybe if a valid form. I don't think it's a valid form of control in any way. It's you use mind control with statism. So yeah.
I say that is basically almost absolute, that you should never, use your, basically force your will upon another person to get what you want, but, or use force or the threat of force to take something away from someone or to get what you want. Would that not be considered a close to universal as you could get as well? Or
I mean, yeah, generally speaking, we've said that before.
And they agree with that. And I think they would all disagree with that too if you just gave them simple analogies or examples that just easily, you can't just blatantly say that, because you can give them tons of examples where they would disagree about that, especially in the idea of self-defense and going after someone who kills someone else, like a police officer having the right to initiate force to basically protect someone else who's getting attacked. You never should use your force of will on another person to get what you want. That's essentially what that is. I mean, the idea of justice, using the force of, the people or the government as a whole together to get what they want, and it's totally a place where they try to justify and say it's okay. And just to point out, in the view of the Anarcho-capitalist volunteerists, there's would come out, and especially the private police, the idea of owning property and taking it from every other living thing and other humans as well, and using violence and force to get that back and prevent you from using the available fruits of all the land available and everything as well. So they would be guaranteed to have to do the same thing, to initiate violence to get what they want. So they would be in violation of the one natural law he mentioned apparently exists. So
your right to swing your fist ends at somebody else's face type thing. That's kind of a pronouncement on bodily rights. Allowing people.
And like I'll just mention real quick, they mentioned the right to swing on and to someone's face, essentially. And while I understand that concept, like Matt does point out later on, rights are things that are granted by government. I think of the things as abilities. You have ability to do many things. The right to do something is something that you're basically immune from getting in trouble from, because the government says, we're not going to punish you for this. We'll punish you for all these other things, but we won't punish you for this. Without that, the idea of rights don't exist. Everything is basically naturally a right. It's an ability to do something. Technically, everybody has the ability to kill someone. There's consequences through government and natural consequences, of course, and all kinds of things. So there's the ability to do something itself becomes a right when the force that would apply punishment decides they won't apply punishment for that act. It's an act of immunity, essentially, is what a right is. And especially when we get down to the point where we almost criminalize everything else, you give a few things, few things you can actually do, you call them rights, They become so important that because you only have such a small number of things you can do and such a huge, long list of things you can't do.
Freedoms and dealing with what happens when those freedoms overlap.
Yeah, well, the reason why I'm asking all this is, have you ever decided to do a debate on morality outside of religious context? What I mean by that is, as a philosopher, I always like to, whatever I believe, I like to apply it to every type of scenario to try to find truth. My question is, have you not ever, I know that you said before, I'm apologize to get off subject, that you are, quote, a Democrat or whatever, which is fine by me, doesn't matter, but do you ever think about applying your beliefs on consequentialism or universals about opposing your will and doing a debate on politics?
I've done a debate on abortion. I've had discussions and debates informally on all sorts of issues where people are making moral proclamations, and we talk about the evaluation of them.
Yeah, well, the reason why I ask is because, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to paint you in the corner, to use your term, but...
I bet I'm psychic and predict what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can too, because wouldn't you also say that, for example, believing in a government system in itself would be immoral because the government itself poses its will upon another person?
Can I just interject here?
Please.
When you were using the example of somebody using force, in my mind I was thinking, no, I can think of lots of situations where I think it would be absolutely not just a good idea to use force against someone to get what you want, but where I would think it would be obligatory, where it would be like a moral obligation to do that. So, for example, I know a situation.
This is where I'm going to have to get into a little bit of morals. They have to come from oneself, their shared perspective-wise. The fact that we don't all share the same ideas of what's right and wrong and what to do, what don't do, and not everybody thinks the same way. So she mentions situations where, force can be permitted, of course, and that's going to be completely, subjective based on what your current beliefs are. For example, a Christian who follows the Bible is going to feel just and feel right in killing someone for working on Sunday, for example, or for not being a virgin to being married, for having affair with their husband, adultery, disobedient teenagers, all kinds of things that they would kill for and feel just because that's their morality, that's their subjective viewpoint. And if you're going to sit here and say it's justified for someone because of the viewpoint to initiate force on someone, for example, like you're saying, I can think it's where it's rational because I think this person has a right to defend this other person's life with force. We kill people who kill people because killing people is wrong. Get that one around your head. One more time. We kill people who kill people because killing people is wrong. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get it around their head because that's what they're saying. That's exactly what they're saying. So I mean, if they're gonna portray that, they need to do it universally, or they're just being biased and hypocritical. I need to point out that they're not doing it universally like they should. That's important for me to point out, I believe. It applies especially to religious people. If you're gonna say because of your subjective views, you can initiate force on other people to do what you want. There's no reason a religious person, because of their subjective views, cannot force that upon you to make that you do what they want. There's no reason, the church state shouldn't have cars with signs on them, riding around, picking you up, throwing you in the back in handcuffs, bring you where they want, and forcing you to be a certain way, act a certain way. I mean, for any reason. Punish you for crimes of adultery, for life, killing you, crucifying you. That's their choice. Why not, right? Because you're simply justifying right now that because someone has a subjective viewpoint about something, then they have the right to initiate force on someone to that extent. First of all, I mean, you all agreed that you don't have a right to initiate force basically on someone, and then you agree that you can grant that right that you don't even have to, somebody else to protect others, essentially. It's just kind of interesting. It's pretty hypocritical, especially if you don't apply that all the way through. You gotta also say it's all right for Christians to force you to be a Christian and force you to live a certain way or kill you, or you can't be two-faced like that. It's not honest at all.
That happened here in Austin where a woman was trying to stab her landlord to death and the police officer shot her dead. She refused to drop the knife and she was killed.
Well,
and in my opinion, that's fine to use force to get what you want in that situation.
Well, see, that's where I think that, but though that would be neglecting Matt's point that he used earlier, your rights in at swinging your fist at the person's end of their nose. So obviously that person was violating that universal principle.
Right, and in that situation, I'm okay with someone using force to get what they want.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying of coercive force versus defensive force.
Right, and so when the government applies force to get what they want, a lot of times that is obligatory. In fact, that police officer was the government applying force in order to get what they want.
Yeah, quite often the arguments on this tend to portray the government as if it's something else. We are the government.
Yeah.
All of us.
Well, see, I would have a problem with saying the point of we are the government because I think like you said, your rights end at the other person's nose or whatever, and I don't think you say that it's not right for someone to own another person.
Well, first, the idea that you're saying that we are the government is just stupid. You can't back that up by anything valid. It's just dumb to say. Period. Then you claim, well, if you don't vote, you can't say anything. If you don't vote inside the system that we're forcing you to vote inside, you can't say anything. My problem is the system you're forcing me to vote inside. I don't want to vote. I don't want to vote for your people. I don't want to vote for the system. I want to be out of that system, period. I mean, that's silly and stupid. That's the biggest fallacy anybody could commit. That's like saying, oh, you know, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to go to the baseball game. Oh, you don't want to go to the baseball game? Well, then, you know, we'll come to the baseball game, enjoy the baseball game, and, you know, if you don't come to the baseball game, you can't complain about the baseball game. Well, that's like, you know, that makes no sense. Here's a good example. There's a baseball field that's destroying wildlife sitting there, and I protest. I don't want the baseball field there. And you say, hey, if you don't go and watch the baseball games, you have nothing to say about it. That's what that is. That's so stupid. How could someone who claims to be a genius, who literally on this show claims to be a genius, think like that?
Are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, I am.
Are you being forced to stay a citizen of the United States?
No, but you also...
Hang on.
Okay, his answer is no. Mine would definitely be yes. Here's the thing anyways. I don't want to leave. This land is separate from the human and your support for the control of the people and the people on the land. That's arbitrary. That's going to go away at some point anyways. But that's completely separate, first of all. Your government is just a named thing of force. So if anything, I mean, that's not the land. It has nothing to do with the land. You can't tell me to leave the land because I don't like your forceful government there. That's like me going to someone raping them and saying, oh, I don't like it, you know, what are you doing to me? And just saying, well, you got to leave if you don't want me to sit there and rape you. I mean, this is just the dumbest shit, and this is what statist apologists and statists in general say. They don't think about what they're talking about. It's religion because it's so dogmatic, it's so deep-rooted into them to just support it, raise the flag, and wave America that they don't think about anything they're saying at all. I mean, I understand some parts are getting upset and fired up, and I do too, but they're totally wrong on this, and I think anybody can clearly see that. It's quite obvious. I'm not even proposing my own idea of what should be or what could be or anything like that. I'm just simply pointing out what's wrong with their ideology and the flaws in it. They're totally missing for some reason. It's just silly to me. It's a religion, that's why, you know, and I think it's important. As I'm against sort of religion, statism is one of the worst. Statism is in a lot of ways worse than theism in general, and you know, so that's a lot of the problem right there. I would say statism is arguably guilty for almost every is in combination with every theistic death and murder that a lot of atheists will talk about. You know, every death that was caused by a religious cause that was theistic also had statism within it. So it definitely exceeds all, you know, beyond that. And now it's just shifted now on this view. Basically, the humanist statist view is basically the ruling power, humanist, and that's what rules the schools. That religion. So there's still religion in school. They don't argue there's not religion in school, and there still is. And it's just dumb to argue there's not. It's just willful ignorance. But it's not surprising, especially like someone like Matt, Tracy, used to believe in God and religion. It's not surprising that they would be silly enough to believe things like this without critically thinking about it, without actually sitting back and analyzing it. And they could go 20, 30 years of being like this until they finally sit back and look at it and go, wow, okay, now, you know, then this, from Christian to this, you know. I definitely change opinions in my life, and I think it's important to change constantly, you know, because you're always growing and learning things. But that's kind of the problem. You go 30 years or so just believing this silly thing without learning and changing. You shouldn't go that long ever without changing. But of course, everyone's different. It's frustrating and important to point out because, you know, as we all talk about religion, they are, you know, very dogmatic themselves in their beliefs, and that's just important for me to point out and talk about. It's kind of frustrating in some ways because statism is so prevalent and so strong, even more than theism. And I hear more about, you know, converting to the statism religion and all this, like saying, if you don't like our country, if you don't like it, you can get out. Get out. This land was here way before your country. If you don't like that we don't want your force applied to us, then either apply the force to the point where we fight you to death, or get the fuck away from us. I mean, you can't say get out of here. Let me explain something to you first of all that you missed somehow. You're not going to force me in any way to ride your planes. You're not going to force me to get on your boats. You're not going to force me to do anything, okay? This land is travel by water. I can, okay, not cross your borders. No, I can't do that, can I? Because other countries with other governments and other systems. I'm not going to get in your ocean or get in the ocean and swim across to another country with governments and control. I grew up in this land. My ancestors grew up in this land. And all of our ancestors go back to fucking the same goddamn place, basically. It's kind of stupid to even talk like that. You know, if you don't like our control on this land, you can get out. That's seriously just like me raping you, you know, and saying if you don't like it, you can just get out. And, you know, and then you step out and it's just surrounded in a bunch of water. You can't really leave anyway, so I just sit there and rape you. But that's the point. The point is, anyways, I'm not going to leave under no circumstance. I'd rather die fighting to just live off the land here than go somewhere else. It doesn't make sense. You know, I'll never leave the place that I was born, because beyond these tattered limits, even though I've never seen them, there's really nothing else left to explore. There's nothing more, you know. This area, the Adirondacks, you may not appreciate your area that much, but I ain't leaving my fucking place for nothing. And especially the situation of, you know, just because you're more of you support the tougher fucking group, you know, who has bigger arms, that you're somehow right. Because you'll see Tracy in a little bit get all fired up like, yeah, well, we will be able to come as my supporting government, my supporting team. We're number one. We'll be able to come in and kill you and hurt you if you try to, you know, stop us. And she goes like, yeah, I guess all fired up about it. We'll see that.
Hang on,
okay.
I'm not
Okay.
done. Are you eligible to run for office and be an elected official in the United States?
What about not having offices at all and not having the United States? Well, you're allowed to participate in the state. Well, I'm against the state. My goal is to stop the state. Well, you get in the state then. Involve yourself in the state, and then maybe you can destroy the state from within it. What the hell are you talking about, buddy? The idea is you don't like the state. Why would you jump inside the state? You don't, I need to stop rape. Well, you might as well start raping people. Once you get enough people raped, you'll be able to definitely stop rape. You realize how dumb your ideology is? Do you get that yet? I hope so. I really do hope so.
Yes, I am.
Are you allowed to vote and participate and influence the policies?
Yes,
Ditto.
I am.
Then what's the complaint?
The complaint that I would say is we're going.
But it's interesting that this caller just keeps saying, yes, I am. And I understand it would be, you know, maybe intimidating to talk with Matt in this conversation at this moment. But I think he probably would have a lot of different answers if he truly thought about what he's saying. Instead of just saying, yes, I am. Because obviously if he is a volunteerist, Anarco Capitalist, the idea especially is at least you don't want this goddamn state right here. You don't want to have the elected officials in the system you have right here. Not in the same way, not in any way, really. So.
Regardless, let's say that if 49% of the population does not want something, and 51 does want something, the 51
That's what we have a
right.
That's
to
what we.
enforce their.
That's why
you are arguing that the government is a matter of a simple.
Okay, Matt's trying to argue that the Constitution somehow stops popular vote, stops majority rule. Somehow, the Constitution does that. You know, the Constitution is amended and changed on what? Majority rule, or you know, vote and consensus. The whole system of democracy is what? Based on that whole concept, isn't it? You know, the majority of people vote on a certain concept. And as long as you can sway the majority of the people that think the same way, it's easy to do it when everybody, you know, watches the same TV shows, goes to the same movies, listens to the same radio stations, you know, reads the same books, reads the same newspapers, you know, reads the same billboards, eats the same food, you know, wears the same clothes. It's easy to do that when you get everybody going the same cycle. So that's all I got to say about that.
Democracy,
And
a
it's not.
simple majority, and that's not the government we have by any stretch of the imagination. We have a constitution, which is what protects the minority from the whims of the majority.
He forgets the Constitution was there, which allowed slavery. He's going to point out that there is, even if we wanted to stop slavery now, and even 80% voted against slavery, you know, it doesn't mean slavery would necessarily be back. He said, but it definitely could easily with a vote, and it should be back with a vote because that's how democracy works, and it really should, right? Because people vote on it, they agree. It goes into place. That's the only reason slavery became illegal is because people made it illegal.
If 75% of the people in the United States all of a sudden decided that they wanted to vote slavery back to being legal, that doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. That's where the Constitution steps in.
Yeah, a piece of paper steps in and stops people from doing something. People who wrote that paper, people who amend that paper, people who don't even follow the paper every fucking day. Are you serious? Even your mainstream news is going to tell you they don't fucking follow the Constitution. And you're going to tell me a fucking piece of paper stands in the way of rights being demolished. Majority, we can't rule because paper. paper beats scissors. Paper beats majority too. No, paper loses the scissors actually, and paper does lose the majority. So
I understand I understand what you're saying, but I also believe, like how we used earlier, you don't have the right to enforce your will on another person. Now, just let me finish with my point. I'll let you finish.
I want to say real quick, my big problem with statism and Anarco Capitalism together, and why I consider statism, is the way they involve private property and private police, that whole concept, which is government essentially. And I like how Tracy especially points that out, and that should be coming up in a second.
My point would be is that basically if you don't have your right to enforce your will onto another person, and we have two political parties who both believe on, say, I don't know, taxation, and no matter who's ever's going to win, someone's going to show up to my door if I don't pay my taxes.
Correct.
And say, hold on, let me finish, and then let's say you need to give, you owe this amount of money, and eventually if I don't pay it, they will use force to take it from me.
Correct.
And and my point is, I believe that could be immoral, especially when my
You
money
are
goes
here
to things like
voluntarily.
war and the drug wars and the war.
He's here voluntarily? What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? You're alive voluntarily right now, aren't you? What does that mean? He's here voluntarily. It's his choice to be here? Let me explain something to you, first of all. I mean, as I was born in this exact area right where I stand right now, I haven't moved beyond that. And actually, absent moving my fucking legs or being picked up or moved by somebody else, I do not exist or appear magically. I don't know what fairy tales you're believing now, what God delusion you're part of, but I'm not going to magically appear in some other place. It's not a voluntary action. It's just stupid. What? It's not a voluntary action in any way. First of all, what if you're someone who doesn't want anything to do with money, like myself, for example? I'm forced to actually make a lot of money to find a way to even move out of the state, to get a visa to even move out of the country. I need thousands of dollars. Do you realize that? So I need to work years of my life just to make that money, because I need to then maintain, instead of actually living my life and earning my food and fruits off the land itself, you'd have to sit there and maintain your time doing that towards, you're working 8 hours a day, and then you have to somehow get an apartment and live that lifestyle along with that, because you can't do both. You don't have time for both together. And at the same time, it's illegal in America for us to live off the land and live like every other living species. It's illegal, and we're threatened with death. They kept saying correct. Why are you saying correct? He's explained something. He's saying he objects to it, and they're like yelling correct, like you're gonna prove him wrong just because you disagree, and they're not gonna give any good valid reason, because they're just gonna say, like they're saying, it's correct. This is just the way it is. It's a social contract. You have to do it. You can leave if you don't like it. Really? You can leave if you don't like it. So let me tell you something right now. About 80% Christians in America right now. You don't like it? You can leave. You don't like Christians in the school? You can leave. You don't like the Bible and religion in your lives every day, all day long? You can leave. Are you serious? You guys starting to see it all? Do you get the picture at all? How dumb you're sounding. It's the worst circular reasoning I've ever heard in my life. It's so sad coming from people who, are skeptical, genius, atheist, Matt the genius. Apparently, he thinks he's that smart, but he can't get these simple concepts. It's because it's emotional.
Iraq and the war in Afghanistan, which I don't support, so you're taking my money to support something that I find immorally wrong.
Tough.
Right, tough. Oh well. That's too bad we're taking your tax money to fund Nazi camps and fucking exterminate Jews. Too bad. Haha. That's what they are. They're apologists. They'd be Nazi apologists. They're police apologists. They're all the same. That's what they are. That's what Matt Dillahunty would definitely be there, waving the Nazi flag, screaming for joy for his country, and telling people, if you don't like it, you can get out, and then threatening to probably shooting them, at the same time. So it's pretty bad.
You don't get to run the country individually. This is a society, and there is a social contract that you are a part of, not the king of.
She tries to claim that there's a social contract that you're a part of. You're just automatically part of a social contract, because your group of humans got together, claimed land with force, and then found other humans and other creatures and just started destroying them and killing them. That means anyone who didn't fight against that and die to it, is automatically part of your social contract, is what you're saying, basically, because you're such vigilante, violent, fucked up creatures, and you're going out and capturing each other and forcing them to apply to contracts. It's not a contract anymore. Like we were talking about earlier, voluntary slavery, sorry, boom, doesn't become a fucking voluntary contract. It's not a contract. You're using flawed statements there. It's social slavery is all that is. You're part of social slavery is what you're trying to say there, Tracy. And you have to be, you're not the king of social slavery. You're just a part of it by force. That's what it is. And you condone that. You're condoning slavery. That's all you're doing.
And we all have to participate.
Right. We all have to participate. Not slavery, but we all have to participate.
Into a social contract just because I was birthed into a certain plot of land.
As long as
makes me part of a social
as
contract.
long as you are not coerced to stay here, you are voluntarily every day you stay
here. That's they're relying on that huge fallacy. They're relying on the fallacy that, first of all, this land and our presence as people on this land pre-exists your presence of a government and state concept on this land. Period. I mean, your government and state is responsible for coming here and killing over 100 million fucking people. Huge genocide. And you're trying to support that? You're the sickest motherfuckers in the world. You're worse than fucking people who love killing Jews. And you're the worst fucking people in the world. Period. Like that. Trying to support a system like that kills that many people. And look at Tracy right now. That kills that many people is fucked up. Supporting that and loving it. Loving that society and that system. And trying to say that makes it a social contract. Yeah, Native Americans, you signed a social contract to be on that reservation to avoid being exterminated to death. So looks like you're fucked. Tough. Because we're fucking cool Americans, white Americans. In Texas. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they still were Christians. They still act like it.
Participating in the social contract at your free will.
I love it, free will. Yeah, when someone's holding a gun to your head, it's definitely free will now. Yeah. You can't get more delusional than this. No, it's getting tough. It's hard. The supernatural claim is on the same lines as this delusion.
Yeah, but please tell me, which country does not have a form of government?
I don't know, whichever one you want to form.
Forming a country? What the kid should have said, or I don't know, young man, what he should have said is, what piece of land doesn't have a violent country that's going to force you to oblige to the rules? So then Matt would have to say, whatever piece of land you form, apparently, because you're going to have to form a piece of fucking land. Form a country, that's the idea. He doesn't want a country, he doesn't want social control, he just wants, you look at the birds. Oh, they don't have a fucking country. The flowers, no fucking country, there's no social contract they're part of. Oh, look at the trees, no fucking social contract. Look at the squirrels, look at the butterflies, look at the ants, look at the bees, look, there's fucking everything out there that doesn't have a fucking social contract besides stupid fucking humans. Don't tell me I have to live in your fucking social contract when your system is destroying the fucking world. Your society and your social contract that I'm supposed to be a part of would force me to destroy the world with you. And I am being forced anyways. It's not a social contract. It's social coercion and slavery. And you admit that it's by force and that it's tough. Too bad. Deal with it. So you admit slavery, but you're too hypocritical to actually admit it. That's pathetic.
I guess my point is like
do you not think we're better? Do you not think that we're better off in the United States?
Where you have a right to participate?
Fallacy right here. What is he trying to do there? That makes no sense. That's not the point. You're going to compare it to other countries and try to say, oh, America's number one. America's number one. Well, guess what? America's not number one in anything, especially anymore, when it comes to statistics of things. But that concept in general is just completely flawed. His point is, and especially my point would be too, is the government in general is fucked up. You're saying to just go leave to another place and then say, well, wouldn't you rather be in this government than forced to be in even a worse government? Yeah, that's kind of the concept. Wouldn't you rather be a slave at Bill Johnson's house, where Bill Johnson lets his slaves shower twice a night, where they're over at Jenny's over there, they only get to shower 3 times a week. Damn. Lucky old them over there, over those, they aren't slaves. They get to shower fucking twice a day, god damn it. They're not slaves. Oh, man.
Have roads, where you have sewers, where you have education, where you have the internet.
Showers, sewage, yeah. Big Billy's house is much nicer over there. It's a much nicer slave house. Wouldn't you rather be in this much nicer slave house over here, young fools?
Where you have the
I
cell phone that you're calling me on?
May I finish?
No, actually, I was still
While he's just sitting there. I was still talking.
talking when you interrupted.
Go ahead.
Do you not think we're better off with those things that were paid for with taxes?
Yes, we do.
Now, what if 49% of the people decided that they didn't want their taxes to go to roads? Should we still have done it?
Absolutely not. Not when it comes to showing up to the door and, like I said, ultimately putting a gun to their head.
Especially when roads are some of the worst fucking things ever. You can't talk about morality and doing right things and not. Roads destroy more things than any other fucking thing I can think of, really. Roads and concrete, wherever the fuck you put that shit, asphalt and shit. You're destroying so many fucking. Just look at the grass one day. Look at the grass, pull it apart. You'll see tons of bugs walking around. Dig out a fucking 5-foot thing of dirt and just look through the shit. There's tons of living things all throughout that land. And we just put roads everywhere. Look at a fucking map. Look at this fucking country. We just covered it with roads. The world's covered with roads and cities. That's just destroying everything. All kinds of species. Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of species per fucking small area. Just your yard itself is destroying so much. But then you put your roads down. You try to justify roads and say they're so important. We got to get to our jobs and our work so we can destroy the world even more. Because this is our society and you're forced to live a part of our society. That just makes you sick people. You're so fucking obsessed and in love with your society that you're gonna fucking destroy the world over it and destroy yourself over it. That's what's the saddest part, I guess. You know.
My thing is, the ends do not justify the means.
Nobody's putting a gun to your head.
I just don't think you understand how social.
No one's putting your gun to your head. They're putting a boot to your ass. They're saying, "Get the fuck out of here," or "Agree." The best I can do is hide out in the woods around here is, the only logical conclusion until I get found and murdered for doing so. Because I'm not following your social structure. I should just be killed. I'm glad you guys agree with that and think that's fucking okay.
Contracts work. I don't think you get it.
Okay, well, let me say this. If I'm right, but my point is, if I decide I want to
We all get it. You're sick, fuck up people.
opt out, I find it very immoral to support the war on drugs. And I splice the letter to the government. I do not want to support this. They will use force and take my tax money from me. And that is my property rights. Those are the fruits of my labor.
How did you get that property? Who granted you that property? Who granted you the right to property?
Basically, that would be a contract between me and another individual that we both voluntarily agreed to.
And I think this is the really important point before I even let them get into that. Just to talk about why this is when they start bringing up good points to actually object to what he's saying. Because he is bringing up statism. He is basically just talking about statism while saying he's against statism. It's kind of interesting in its own way. It's just a softer version of statism. Kind of like people may say, Protestant, softer Catholic, or something like that. The idea of different types of religion. It's what it is. It's just a softer form. It's not as strict to the code rules of, the strict statism, The fundamentalist statism, I guess, is what you would call these guys. On here, so but basically they're going to talk about in that context the private property, especially. My belief is this: the only way something's property is when you have the initiation forced by another person, another party, to basically secure that for you. When it's just two people fighting over something, it's still just a scuffle over possession. It's a fight over possession of something. It's if you find a flower and you pick it up and two things want to fight over that flower, if you grab a fucking, deer and two things fight over the deer, and, it's possession until you have a third party helping without really even interest for that object, helping to mediate it to basically that concept. It's definitely becomes, not only is that immediately a state, but it's that's the only way it can be property. It requires the mediation, basically, a third party, which makes it a state. So you can't have property, you can't have capitalism, you can't have property, and have anarchy at the same time. You can't have property, you can't have capitalism, and not have a state. You're gonna have some form of a state, whether it's gonna be multiple states. I mean, right now we have 50 states in one union, right? I mean, what are you gonna have in your volunteer society? 10,000 states in one union, maybe 10,000 states and 10,000 unions, or 250 unions. Who knows how you would actually set that up, but the concept behind it seems really similar, because what you do is set up your private forces, kind of like we have our private police forces, smaller police forces together, and smaller groups in a sense, they're going to either fight against each other or work together, which is going to result to what we have now, basically. So to me, it is no different, especially the way it's presented by most anarcho-capitalist volunteerists that I listen to and talk to.
Money isn't owned by people.
Okay, well, whatever you want to say. Let's say he pays.
He said money isn't owned by people. Money is not owned by people. Let's think about that, and especially something he said a little earlier.
Well, unfortunately, force imposes.
Who enforces the contract? Who enforces the?
I mean, what he's applying anyways. Before we go too far, money isn't owned by people; it's owned by government. Is what he's trying to say. When he just said a few minutes ago that government is the people, so wouldn't money then therefore be owned by people? But I guess not, because I mean he's trying to maybe admit that the government isn't the people, because that's pretty obvious for anybody who is part of the people, who isn't part of the government. That should be pretty fucking obvious.
Contracts. When something doesn't go right and something goes wrong with your contract, where do you turn to get that enforced? When the other person says, I will not oblige the contract, where do you go for satisfaction?
Well, unfortunately, because the government has a monopoly on it, that would be
The court.
criminal justice system.
How else would you do it? What are you going to do?
Because they have a monopoly. What do you mean? What's the alternative?
There is no alternative.
There you go. Thank you. So there's no alternative, so you shouldn't have to be doing this. Unfortunately, the government has a monopoly on it if you've just acknowledged that there's no alternative.
Because the government itself. You're asking me why am I dependent upon the government when the government makes me dependent upon it by force?
No, that's not what we...
That's actually a really good point. Why are you dependent on the government when the government makes you dependent upon it by force? And that's kind of what they even brought up a few different points too. And especially when they talk about, in my situation, I'd love to live off the land. I'm threatened with years of prison, felonies, just for going to live off the land. I'm threatened to be shot on sight and be killed just for trying to live off the land. I'm threatened to be killed for trying to get any animal that's out of season or when I don't have a license. Jail time. If I try to forage any food or any plants or anything, if it's on state land, jail time. If it's on private property, it's trespassing. If I want to even just go out in the woods and sleep and stuff, state land, maybe 3 days and then I gotta move. 3 days and then I gotta move. But it's state land and it's not my property. I can't do anything on it. If it's someone else's property, it's private property and I can't do anything on there. So there's no land. I can't even travel. Let's say, like he's saying, there's public property, which is the government, right? And the roads are violent with cars. I'm not going to walk down any fucking road to leave your country. So where can I go? I look to the left. Private property. I look to the right. Private property. Look straight ahead. Private property. Look behind me. Private property. I have no fucking path out of here. I'm not taking your fucking road like I just said, with all your fast cars. But so there's no fucking path out of here, period. And you say you can leave? Nah. Where are you leaving to? This covered in private property. I have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go in your fucking free world, in your free America. Nowhere to go in your free America.
Where do you go to get satisfaction when your contract has been violated? And then the question was, why do you go there? And you say, because there's no other option.
That's correct.
Okay. And we asked then, what other options could there be?
Could there be? Actually, that would be a very good thing. If there was no government, you could come up with a voluntary system done by society. Which
you would go to your neighbor with a gun and enforce it yourself.
Mediators.
It would be crazy.
Mediatorship.
You're describing a government.
You're describing a government, only instead of a government that we've all participated in and elected, now we've got a bunch of little miniature mediators that the two of us have agreed to. So let's say you and I have a disagreement, and we then agree to allow Tracy to be the mediator between the two of us.
Yeah, I get to be the authority, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the
government.
And the two of us have agreed on that. Now, once we've decided that we've agreed on this, and Tracy makes her ruling, and she rules in your favor, and I decide that I'm no longer going to accept Tracy's authority, what do you do then?
Well, obviously, since we see the breach of contract, we would have either a private security or basically a private organization that would basically would do justice.
You're just building a government and you're calling it private. You're basically saying
there's
not a difference.
The difference is I find I don't have a right to not be part of the government or not support.
Yes, you do.
Government.
You can leave.
I mean, that point fails. He says he doesn't have a right to be he doesn't have a right to not be part of the government. I agree. And here he doesn't have a right to not be part of the government, period. And then in the system he applies to, for example, if I did something that violated your policy and you had your strong armed force of police come I don't have a right to not, do what they did without force either, right? So it's no different. It really isn't any different in that case. And like he's saying again, committing the same fallacy, you can leave. Yeah, we already went over that like 50 times because that's so stupid. It's but every dumb statist says that they talk out their ass. It's like it's the same slogans, even just like what Christians say. You go to hell. It's the same shit. That's like there's no thought process going on right there. You're just regurgitating words. I don't know. Why don't you just sit there and think about it for a minute and actually come up with a valid fucking thought and to put out there for people? Why regurgitate just stupid fucking slogans like that? That's what I don't get.
You can leave. You can leave, or you can change it from the inside. You have
You can leave, or you can change it from the inside. How about we just crush it down? I mean, you obviously, if you looked around lately, people are getting more and more pissed the fuck off. People are reacting a little more and more. So, I mean, obviously, what was this country built on? What's that again? Revolution. That's right. What happened? A lot of people died. That's right. What happened other time to Civil War? Yeah. What happened? A lot of people fucking died. Right? You're pushing towards that again. Is all you're doing. That's it. And if you don't think it can happen again, you're out of your fucking mind. Just because that was years ago. That can't possibly happen again. I mean, a 200-year-old country already fucking with that many fucking murders and kills, and we've done lots of people. We've been directly affected millions and millions of people. This is really one of the worst countries because of that. It's you can't be a proud American without supporting that atrocity, and that's just fucked up. I'm proud of my fucking land, the land of my ancestors. I'm not fucking proud of your government, of the government that you think I'm obligated to be a part of by force, and the government that you're proud to be a part of that kills people and that has murdered millions of people. Well, that just makes you a sick, fucked up person.
Multiple options. The thing is, when we've agreed on this mediator, and then after I don't like her decision, I decide that I'm no longer going to agree on this mediator, now we're back at square one, because there's nothing you can do about it, because the fact is that the ability to enforce these things is something that has to be accepted or imposed.
Right.
And so in the absence of a good way to get everyone to accept, we've opted for a sort of compromise in that by virtue of being a citizen of the United States and living here and working here and participating in the system and reaping the benefits, you agree to allow the government to...
You can't use the word agree there, first of all. There's not agreement there. Maybe you agreed. That's fine. Speak for your fucking self. But other people don't agree. You're forced by fucking gun. And don't say you can get out, because you can get the fuck out. Take your government and get the fuck out. Are you kidding me? You can't. You're no more justified in telling me to get out because I don't like your fucking government than I am telling you get the fuck out with your government. I mean, you're just dumb for saying that. Especially if you, the people, are the government. Then all you people get the fuck out and bring your government with you. I mean, this land predates you, all you people, anyways. And you brought this government through genocide, through murder. This government needs to go. It came with murder. It came with genocide. This government wouldn't be here without massacre of the whole entire nation's people. Are you kidding me? And you're trying to support this and saying that we can leave? The country that came in and the people that came in and invaded the fucking country in the world and destroyed it is now telling, saying anyone who doesn't like what we did to this land can leave. That's what you're doing right there. You're the biggest piece of shit in the fucking world.
Be that force, and when you don't, then the government will impose, because the rest of us in society would rather have a government that imposes the thing that you supposedly...
The rest of the white European, your fucking racist group that you love? Is that what you're talking about? The rest of you fucking, supremacist, human supremacist, fucking speciesist? The rest of you fucking pieces of shit? Why is that? Why is that y'all think alike? Did we discuss that a little while ago? I think we did. Because y'all watch the same fucking TV shows. You're all brainwashed by 6 corporations in the fucking brainwashed media. The mainstream media. It's just fucking silly. If you think you're not influenced to a crazy mass fucking level by the way your society's all mingled within each other like that, you're out of your mind. Of course you're all gonna fucking agree with each other. When you don't actually think about things. Like, it's clear, anybody watching this who isn't a religious statist like you, it's clear to them that you're out of your mind. You're just out of your mind. You're not rationally thinking about these things because you're creating all sorts of blunders.
Agreed to, than to be stuck with no possible recompense.
But see, that's the thing, because you're saying because you have been born into a government, you don't see another alternative. And my point is, I think that you're comparing the contract that you and me have, and Tracy being the whatever mediator, that was a voluntary system. I always find that to be far better, something done voluntarily.
So
than
is your
being born
government.
into a country that I have been basically born into a slavery of debt already on my hands.
Slavery of debt. Goodbye. Goodbye. You don't get to go down the slavery road as if the government has made you a slave. Oh.
He's absolutely wrong about this too, because the government has made you a slave. You can't argue this with reason. You can only argue against it irrationally and without reason, because it's an absolute fact. By any basic definition of what a slave is and what you understand, the idea of ownership and control, it's what it is. Like I explained earlier, I can't live like any other creature. I'm forced to work. I'm forced to keep the society rolling. I'm forced to be another guy who brings either wood, glass, something to the table so the society can keep rolling and rolling and rolling. Without that, it would crumble. It needs to force people to be along with it. That is slavery. It's nothing else but slavery. If you deny that, you're just wrong. You can't turn around any other way. So that's pretty much going to be it. I'm going to end it right there. Not really going to say much more about this. I think I've covered it pretty fucking well. I think they're off base, very very far. I don't expect them to change their ways. It's clearly a religious viewpoint, but I definitely want to express it to other people and share my viewpoint with others. So that's the end of episode number 7. We'll see you next time. Osama bin Laden fought for our freedom and died for our sins. And for the quick prayer right here, let me bring out the ramen he boiled for your sins. Ramen. Burn in hell.